What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs got a little bit of good news after their bad loss to the Buffalo Bills last night on the road. We'll talk about what that is right after this. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, welcome back into another video here on the Show Me Football YouTube channel. Before we get into the news, I do kindly want to ask you all to please like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you go ahead, hit that notification bell as well for future Chiefs content. But without further ado, let's get into the news. So, like I said, guys, Kansas City Chiefs, bad loss last night. You know, it sucks, but we have a big bye week coming up. We got to move on. Got to correct those issues. But the Chiefs did get some good news after their loss to the Buffalo Bills. And this is coming from Jordan Schultz, NFL insider. He says, sources, Chiefs rookie left tackle Josh Simmons has returned to the team facility after missing the last 4 games to tend to a personal family matter. Simmons started the first 5 games of the season and was outstanding. His return is a huge boost for Kansas City. Nate Taylor of ESPN also reporting, confirming that Josh Simmons is back in the facility. So this is really good news for the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Simmons was actually a hot topic after the game yesterday, after the Chiefs lost, because a lot of fans saw Jalen Moore, who has filled in admirably for Josh Simmons, by the way. And I mean, he really has. And that was a signing that a lot of us weren't sure about before the Chiefs ended up drafting Josh Simmons in the first round. We were kind of wondering what he was going to be this year. Well, he came in at a time where Josh Simmons wasn't able to play, and he did all right. You know, he didn't look embarrassingly bad out there. It wasn't like last year where the left tackle position is just a revolving door. Like, he did all right. But you did see the cracks start to show a little bit as he went up against some better teams and as there was a little bit more tape on him out there. And yesterday against the Bills was probably his worst game since he's started in place of Josh Simmons. But a lot of fans saw that and they said, yeah, we need Josh Simmons back. And then the conversation kind of fired back up around Josh Simmons. You know, why has he been gone for so long? What's the reason? The Chiefs have been really quiet about it. They haven't given away too many details. And I never really chimed in on this issue. But I will say this right now. After the game yesterday, I was one of those people that started to fall into the camp of, okay, yeah, we need to find out what's going on here, or we need a resolution at some point. At least we need to get a more clear picture on the situation. And that's not me saying that we need to know all of Josh Simmons' personal details, okay? I'm not saying that whatsoever. But we need a clearer picture on when we can expect him to be back. Luckily, he is back, and we don't have to really talk about it anymore. But I was starting to fall into that camp because, look, man, you've been gone for a month. You do have an obligation as a millionaire football player to be out there for the team. The team needs you right now. This is kind of a desperate time. The Chiefs are 5-4. They need to get back on track. And you look at stories like Pop Douglas for the New England Patriots or the Chargers player whose name escapes me at the moment. Both of them had family members that were shot and killed literally a day before the game, and they went out there and played. And yet we're sitting here with no answers for the Josh Simmons situation a month after he disappeared from the team. And again, I'm not saying we need to know all the details of Josh Simmons. I say that in the most considerate way possible, but we needed something there on the situation. Luckily, we did get it, and the conversation's over. We don't have to have it anymore, which I'm honestly happy about. But Josh Simmons is back, and he could not come at a better time because the Chiefs offense, you know, after really showing some improvement over the last several weeks, I think had their first hiccup. You know, a game in which that they just struggled. They were not able to get into a rhythm. And I think a lot of it was because Mahomes didn't have enough time back there. The Bills pass rush was getting to Mahomes. Mahomes had his lowest completion percentage in a game yesterday that he's had in his entire career. Jalen Moore, like I said, struggled in that matchup. Jawan Taylor struggled in that matchup. Mike Caliendo had to come in for a little bit. That's not an ideal situation for the offensive line. So to get a piece back in Josh Simmons, I think, is a huge deal. because Mahomes had just been performing at a worse level without him. And actually, if you look a little bit closer at some of the numbers, some of the statistics, Mahomes' yards per attempt went significantly down with Jalen Moore at left tackle instead of Josh Simmons. Um, his numbers just look worse. And I think a lot of that is because Mahomes isn't quite as comfortable with Jalen Moore in there instead of Josh Simmons, which makes sense because one, Josh Simmons is the better player, but number two, Mahomes and Josh Simmons, they had that rapport built with each other because Simmons has been the starting left tackle since the beginning of the season. He's basically been the starter since the beginning of training camp. So, yeah, Mahomes is going to be a little bit more uncomfortable when it's a guy in there that he hasn't really played with before. So it's a big deal that you're getting Josh Simmons back. I want to talk a little bit more about how things could look now that Josh Simmons is back in the fold, and what the Chiefs need to do over the bye week. But before we get into that, I do want to show you all a message from our partners on this channel. So before we continue, let's go ahead and check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not heard of W Energy, then you are absolutely missing out right now, as W Energy has taken the energy drink market by storm with their new unique flavors and jitterless energy blend. W Energy is a powered energy drink that replaces other inferior caffeine beverages. It contains zero harmful chemicals, zero fillers, zero artificial colors or dyes, and no proprietary blends. The star of the show is their coffee fruit extract, which helps you focus without the jitter or crash of other energy drinks out in the market. If you're like me, I've relied on caffeine to get me going about my day in the past, but thanks to W Energy, I now have a new, healthier alternative. And not only that, but it tastes absolutely amazing. They just sent me their new Japanese yuzu flavor, and it's got that sweet citrus fruit taste. It's one of the better tasting energy drinks I've ever had. W Energy is what's been keeping me powered lately, especially throughout this rough stretch for the Kansas City Chiefs. But best of all, guys, you can get an additional 10% off your W order using my promo code down in the description. Go ahead, click that link, go get your W order, and then put in the promo code SHOWMEFB for an additional 10% off. W is absolutely amazing. I love what they've been sending me so far. And best of all, guys, you can go and take advantage of that discount. So go get your W. Go check them out. They're going to be partnered with me all football season long. Ditch the caffeine. Go W. So there you guys have it. Definitely go down into the description. Make sure you take advantage of that sale going on right now. W's been absolutely fantastic to me. They got a lot of good stuff to offer. Definitely go check them out. But back to the video topic. So, Josh Simmons coming back at a great time, like I said earlier in the video. The Chiefs have a bye week to get right on both sides of the ball, really. But I think it's important that the offense reevaluates a couple things because, like I said, they showed some cracks for the first time since Rashee Rice came back and since they had started to look better against a good team in the Buffalo Bills. They went up against a good team, and the Bills said, we're going to drop our guys back into coverage. We're going to send four at you. You're not going to be able to stop it. Figure something else out. And the Chiefs just did not respond well to that. And that was a concern that I had, actually. I said it last week after the Washington game. I immediately said there's going to be a game at some point, I don't know when it's going to be, where the passing game just isn't there. And you're going to need to find other ways to win or find other ways to succeed on offense outside of Patrick Mahomes and these receivers. And the Chiefs just did not have a good enough running game yesterday to really keep the defense on their toes. But also, I mean, the root issue is just the protection wasn't very good. And like I said, the Bills were just dropping a bunch of guys back in coverage. They sent Joey Bosa in that pass rush after Mahomes. Chiefs could not stop it. That's why it's so important to get Josh Simmons back. Because Josh Simmons, I think, does a much better job than Jalen Moore does. And maybe potentially with this Juwan Taylor injury, however bad that is, you could move Jalen Moore back to right tackle and maybe give yourself the best five out there on the offensive line. The biggest reason this offense has struggled over the past year or so is that Patrick Mahomes was without a number one left tackle and a number one wide receiver. Well, we still have not really seen that. We haven't seen Rashee Rice and Josh Simmons out on the field at the same time. Once that happens, I think this offense will solve a lot of issues. But in my opinion, they still need to go out and get an explosive running back at the trade deadline. Maybe that happens by the time you're watching this video, hopefully, but that is my expectation now with the Chiefs getting Josh Simmons back in the fold, what I think they still need to do. But all in all, positive update, good news for the Kansas City Chiefs getting their number one left tackle back. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up there. Definitely let me know down in the comments below what you guys think on this news about Josh Simmons being back in the building for the Chiefs. I think it's awesome. But all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com for more. Last but not least, follow the Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got for you guys in this one. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.